What's good, gentlemen? We are back in action. How long has it been since we've had an Unleashed rant? It's been a fucking minute, and I'm good. I'm feeling good. I'm ready to let it go. So today we got an important topic. It's the 3 tests to instantly reveal a chick's character. Because realistically speaking, it's not all about just getting the girl, but a lot of times it's about surrounding your life with the people that you want in your life, and this includes your female. Because a lot of times that girl, she might just end up being like your best friend, and you're gonna spend a lot of time with her. So it's important so that you know. Not gonna get no toxic bitch in your life, man, because it's gonna ruin your life, take half your kids, leave you with the kin and next generation that's all fucked up, and that's just not where you want to be, man. So let's just start with number one. The number one thing, first thing off the bat, is to ask about her family. To observe how a woman reacts and what she says when she speaks about her family. Now, this isn't to say you should judge people, but sometimes in a way you should judge people. Here's the thing, dude, if you're a talent scout for anything, right, you're gonna look at people, their past performances. Whatever the case is, whatever it is in life, whatever you do, people are gonna look in your past to determine what the fuck the future's gonna hold. So when you're dealing with a woman, to sit there and pretend like, well, her uncle did molest her, and her parents did divorce, and she did have daddy issues, and she did also hate her mom, and her mom was jealous of her, and they beefed all the time. And she also said she's schizophrenic and bipolar, and you just see where it comes from. I mean, all you gotta do is ask a girl. If she's speaking in a way about her family that's dysfunctional, and then you start to also see it in her character, dude, all the signs are there. The red flags are there. You don't need to question yourself. Trust your animal instinct. Trust who you are in the person. Trust that what you're seeing is not a coincidence. Consistently throughout my life, the craziest bitches have always been the chicks with the most dysfunctional families, the broken family homes. That's just the reality. Now, if she speaks about her family with praise, she's praising her sister, she's praising her brother, or she's praising her mom. She speaks about them good, and you see them together, and you see how they interact, and you don't see a bunch of gossip, or you don't see a bunch of drama. Those are good signs. That isn't to say that that's automatically she's a Disney princess, but the idea is that shit does matter. Our background, sometimes we get so caught up in the whole seduction or how to get good or how techniques or routines or whatever the case is, yet you start to forget common sense. And this is one of the most first common things, because ultimately, what is the first thing that we come from as humans? Our family. It's the first thing that influences us is our family. It's our immediate family. You get locked up or some crazy shit, your family is most likely going to be the people that are going to be there first, not your friends, not anybody else. That's just, so your family, where she comes from, the tribe, the people that brought her up, that shit is so crucial, and that's why this is number one. Okay, alrighty. Number 2, all right, the manners test. Open the door for her to see if she says thank you. You ever seen a movie called The Bronx Tale? Now, I grew up in the Bronx, so I'm a little biased. But if you haven't seen that movie, I recommend you see. Like, if you've seen Goodfellas, if you like Goodfellas, if you like Scarface, if you like The Godfather, you have to see The Bronx Tale. It's like it's an underrated classic from the 90s. Basically, it's about a kid who grew up near this bar that's full of Italian mobsters. They kind of take him in and put him on and whatever the case is. But there's one scene that's iconic because it's a Romeo Juliet kind of thing. Because the Italian kid, he like ends up liking some black chick who's from Webster, which is the more hood part of the Bronx, and he's from Little Italy, and I actually grew up literally in between those two neighborhoods. So those neighborhoods are literally like they're across from each other. So I relate to this movie. But anyways, there's a point in the movie where his mob boss or whatever lends him his car for the date. He's about to go on a date. He asks what he thinks about him going on a date with a colored broad. You know how they speak back then. He's over here like, I don't really give a shit. I'm not like other guys or whatever the case is. Matter of fact, take my car. But here's the thing though. If you go on this test, you give her the door test. Forget about everything else. Forget about what your friends say. The door test. This is what counts. And you're wondering what the fuck is the door test. So he's there. He's talking to him. He basically says the door test is determined to tell if a chick is a selfish broad. So what it is basically he hops in the car, and he lets her in the car. You let her in. He's telling her, let her in the car. And as you're walking around the car, if she doesn't reach over to unlock the other door to let you in the car, that she's a selfish broad and you should ditch that bitch. And I thought, and of course the kid is like, really? Seriously? He's like, no, ditch her on the spot. And I thought it was just an amazing scene. It's one of the most memorable scenes in the movie. And I always think to this day, that test is a little old school. So I always think to this day, like, we need a modern door test. We need, as men, a modern version of this test. And you know what? I still haven't come up with it. But you know what? It comes down to the small things. That's what I take from that story. It comes down to the small things, because a lot of times those small things, they say a lot about a girl's character. If you hold a door for a woman and she doesn't say thank you, that means a lot. I don't give a fuck how hot she is, how nice her clothes are, because I live in New York City. There's women here who wear coats that look like they're like so expensive. They look like they just walked out of an enchanted fucking fantasy story or some fucking runway or whatever the case is. But you can hold the door for them and they won't even say thank you. And little shit like that, it matters, because even if they're really, really hot and you want to smash those type of chicks, that shit is just a bigger tell of her character. And sometimes just because something looks good doesn't mean it's fucking good for you, man. Those little things, they count. Gratification, here's the thing. Chicks are always in the position of receiver as men, as the selectors, and we're always the pursuers and the givers. So they're constantly on this pedestal. Not to mention, this society has been kind of leaning, it's just set up to lean to cater towards women. So women are on this pedestal. So one of the most important things for someone who is given a lot is that they show a lot of appreciation, because naturally when you're given a lot and you're given things without having to work for it, especially in dating, if a chick is really, really beautiful, you tend to become unappreciative. All you got to do is look at children, man. You look at spoiled children. That's how you know this life is dualistic, because if you treat your children like shit, they're gonna be fucked up. But at the same time, if you spoil them, they're gonna be possibly even more fucked up, because now they're not gonna have any appreciation. They're not gonna have no boundaries, no disciplines, nothing that keeps them together. And that shit is awful, man. And it's the same thing with women. When a chick is, especially if she's really beautiful, you have to see, does she have humility? Does she have gratification? Does she have appreciation? Is she the type, like, if a homeless guy asks her for change, is she gonna be like, oh God, I don't even want to be seen talking to you? Like, little things like that, you may not think it means a lot, but it means a lot, man. When you open a door for a girl and she doesn't really acknowledge you, she doesn't say thank you. When you pay for a date and she doesn't acknowledge it, she doesn't say thank you, she never offers to go half and half. Little shit like that, especially if you're a guy who's inexperienced. If you're inexperienced with women and you feel some discomfort, like a chick is using you, there's a 99% chance you're getting used, because you're not even experienced. So if it was me, I'm definitely probably gonna be like, what the fuck, tell this bitch to kick rocks. So I'm just saying, man, this is one of those things that's really important, man, because a lot of times the little things, they say a lot about a person. They say a lot about the bigger picture, because it also starts from thoses little ass things. So when bitches is out here not showing you appreciation, notice it. Notice her character, because that means a lot. I'm telling you, those little things are gonna manifest into way bigger things later on, and you don't want that to be the case. Like, if you meet a girl and she's over here talking about how every guy is hot and blah blah blah, or this and that, or gossip and all this shit, and you just think, oh well, she's a girl, that's just what girls do, because society has basically trained you to accept a bunch of goofy shit. And then later on you get a chick like this pregnant or whatever, and now she's a 40-year-old basically mental child. She's over here, you could be on a date with your kids and y'all all together, and she'll be here I fucking the waiter or whatever the case is. Things where the moment it happened, you think about it and you've seen those red flags years ago, but you didn't dip. You let that little tumor blossom into a fucking malignant tumor. Now you're fucked, and that's what it matters, because a lot of times you can't tell when it's a small tumor just staring you in the face. You have to people wait till it becomes this big thing, where now it becomes very difficult for you to cut out, because now you got your emotions involved, now you got your dick involved, and I don't even need to go on to, man, you get it, man. So let's just move on to the next one. Let's see what we got. What do we got? Ask her seriously about what's something to improve on in her life. What's a weakness? Her willingness on self-improvement. This is, again, very important, especially for women, because, again, as men, we get raised a lot to think, to build. You got to build up your body. You want to get your fitness together. Then you want to get your finances together. You want to get your life goal together. You want to get good with women, good at sex, all these type of things. While women, typically, a lot of times, they're told the opposite, where they're told to look for someone who has all these things. But as far as they're concerned, there's not as much of a push for that type of self-improvement for the sake of the other person. So when you're with a girl, when you meet a girl, it's important to see what is she like on the self-improvement side of life? Because that's what the fuck we're about. This isn't, when I say seduction unleashed, the unleashed part isn't just for the seduction part to compliment it. It's also just for life in general. Unleashing your best with women and beyond. Whatever the case is, whatever in life you pursue. So it's important that you have a bitch around with you. You take a woman seriously in your life, that she also applies to this fucking philosophy, this core philosophy of always growing and progressing as a person. Because progressing, that's where the real truth, that's where the real happiness is, because you can wake up every day and see something new, that progression. If she, look man, I got a chick right next to me, I got a woman right next to me, and she's working on her shit right now. She's not sitting here watching me shoot this video on her fucking phone, scrolling randomly through some dumb shit. I don't fuck with that. I don't accept that shit around me, because not only that, it also just brings me down when you're around that type of goofy shit. Then when you, let me put it like this. It could be a first date. You could be hanging out with a girl and you just let her know. Not only that, but it also helps with attracting her and building a serious connection, a deep connection that ensures a solid, connection between you that, doesn't lead to a flake. When you can ask a girl to more deeper, validating questions that make her improve, that make her prove that she's a person who pursues. Because here's the thing. What do we say that women want all the time? That they want you to be ambitious, right? They want you to be ambitious. They want you to want to improve. But yet, a lot of times, we don't expect as much of that from them, which is some bullshit. You should ask her, for example, you should just let her know, like, if I was to ask you, now this isn't something you could do early on, but if you got to a point where you were really comfortable to go ask her, to be honest, like no ego aside, all of us as humans, none of us are perfect. We all have flaws. So if I was to ask you, like, what is something that you think is a flaw in yourself that you can improve upon? But not only could you improve upon that you want to improve upon, that you will improve upon. Because a lot of us, we just say it, but we don't really do it. Now, if you ask something like that, that's great. Because a lot of times, women, they don't even think to say, oh, well, this is my weakness, or this is my weakness. Because as much as we talk about the male ego, females have a big ego when it comes to pointing out the negatives about themselves. They get very sensitive and they get very touchy. So if you can ask something like this, and she could sit there and not get defensive, not look at you with a dumb face like, wow, I never thought of what I can improve about myself. Damn, that's a good. If she's looking at you like that, then that bitch might just be a dumb bitch. But if she can look at you honestly and be like, that's a good question. I think sometimes I'm a little sensitive to criticism, and I feel like maybe I can improve upon that, or whatever the case is. Or if she says like, I haven't been in the gym lately, I could improve upon that, or my diet hasn't been, whatever the case is. She could say something that's meaningful and be serious for a second. That means a lot, man. When you could ask chicks to look beyond their ego and calm down for a second, that means something. Because a lot of times, girls who are dumb or girls who are toxic, they never had those moments. And in those moments, a lot of times they'll reveal how shallow they are by just a dumb look on their face. You can take a dumb chick and ask her some deep shit, and you can just see her character just by how she reacts to the question a lot of the time. That's why these type of questions, not only are they incredible for actually creating a romantic connection between the two of you and getting the girl herself, but it sets you up to be a man that actually has principles and values, which you should already be. So when you have questions to ask them, because certain things mean more to others, to some of us, than to others. You know what I mean? I might value a girl's ability to just be disciplined and focus on something, but I think universally there are certain fundamental foundations of human shit that you should want a girl to be on. Like family, obviously, like diet. You don't want a chick who doesn't give a fuck about her diet, because she doesn't even care about what she puts in her body or how she treats her body. How can she care about you? She doesn't even care about herself. You know what I mean? Little shit like that. It means a lot, man. It means a lot. And ultimately, these 3 tests reveal a chick's character, man. And I want to come up with a second video, because I think we need more of these type of videos. Because at the end of the day, how many fucking videos do we see about shit tests? Thousands and thousands of how to pass. We get it. Act unaffected. Don't be emotional. Like, we get it. What about these bitches? How are we gonna start shit testing these women? Because at the end of the day, if you're a high value male, you're doing this, you're doing that, self-improvement, you're on your journey, leave them better than you found them, all this high moral shit. But yet, what are the standards we leave for them? cooking, cleaning, not being a total whore. Wow, that's great. Those are real high. Yo, it's time we start stepping it up, man, because the moment we start stepping it up, this is a new era. This is 2019. This isn't the same. We don't need to copy paste the same shit we've been reading for the last 10 years. We get it, man. Don't be needy. Don't be a little bitch. We get that shit. Let's start trying to raise the women up as well to our level, because then everyone can improve. Then it'll feed into itself. That's how we'll really start to improve as a human race, period, man. And I don't want to get too deep. Now that's some real shit right there, man. So with that being said, bro, we just hit 230 subs, man. The channel's growing fast, man. We're like 100 subs in the last month, man. I'm excited, man. Shit feels good, man. So like, subscribe, comment below, man. Ultimately, man, I just keep saying man a lot. So, man, we all on this journey together, man. Don't get caught slipping around these hoes, man. Peace, bro.